Good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the March 12th, 2025 Board of Supervisors meeting. First thing we normally do is a moment of silence, so please join us in that. Thank you. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, it's time for public comment. Is there any public comment for items on the agenda tonight? Please state your name and where you live.
Edward Merriman, 103 Hillborn Drive, Newtown. This is relative to the Chief of Police report. My family had some need last week, and I just wanted to express my sincere gratitude to the Newtown Police Department and the Chief. They provided assistance very, very quickly and very thoroughly. They were very professional and competent, and they helped resolve our issue, and I just really wanted to make sure publicly that I said thank you to the police. So, thank you.
I would like to add that I reached out to the chief as well for this issue, and he was right there, magnanimous, and we are very lucky to have him. Anybody else for public comment? Anybody? For items on the agenda? Okay, then we'll get there. All right, that brings us to reports of committees, and tonight we have no committee reports. So that brings us to reports of the board members. And I'll start. So many of you know that yesterday was the Sewer Authority meeting where we put a lid on any development of any future sewer plant where the Sewer Authority had bought 17 acres of land. Of course, the community has been very involved in this situation. A lot of Middletown residents. I hope that the motion that I made was sufficient for you to know that in no way will I personally vote for anything to go in that spot that is anything but something that contributes to our community. So that's all I wanted to say about that. And I hope that we can focus on other aspects of the township now that we hopefully put that to bed. That's all I have to say tonight. Thank you, everybody. Dennis, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, and I do not have anything to report. I was looking forward to your report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Okay, Mr. Mack?
Yes, thank you. I have just a couple of things. On March 4th, I attended a Zoom meeting presented by Penn Future and conservation voters of Pennsylvania to learn more about who's in charge of our electricity and how we can work to make it more affordable. I don't know about you, but my monthly PICO bill has practically doubled, and they're telling me it wasn't really due to the weather, it is all my fault. I just can't believe that. And so Penn's Future's perspective is that clean energy, for example, solar, and energy efficiency are the most immediate and effective ways to drive down costs. Fossil fuel dependence equals volatility and necessarily increasing costs. Clean energy and energy efficiency lower costs, and create reliability on the grid. That's their conclusion. Meanwhile, PECO has sent out a notice about scammers who are aggressively targeting PECO customers, telling them that they're going to shut off service if they don't pay their bill immediately. PECO says, do not share your information. They do not shut off your electricity, and you should call them directly at 800-494-4000. I'm sure most of you got this information. The other thing is, you're going to notice I'm wearing a Zelensky Ukrainian Army t-shirt. I don't know if many of you realize, but back on April 13th, 2022, the Newtown Board of Supervisors unanimously voted to divest township pension funds of Russian and Chinese stock in protest against the invasion of Ukraine by Russia and the apparent war crimes being committed by Russia in Ukraine. So that's why I am wearing this in protest and in solidarity with the people of Ukraine. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mack. Mr. Calabro.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank our board members who represented us on the SOAR Authority, Mr. Shankman, Ms. Snyder, and Ms. Bobrin, for the way they voted. But I also like to say I'm kind of disappointed in the way that the borough members acted. I guess it's good to be cavalier. It's convenient to be cavalier when the situation isn't in your township or borough. And for the gentleman to say something about the 9,000 residents that are being affected, I guess he really didn't know that 8,000 of those 9 live in Newtown Township. So he could spout off that he wanted to put a referendum and wanted to do all these kind of things. But I'd like to see if those 17 acres sat in the borough, how his vote would have went. And that's why I'm very disappointed in his actions. The other thing I'd like to say is that since 8,000 of the 9,000 residents live in the township, I don't think we are equally or represented on that board. We should have one more vote on that board, just out of representation. If the other person had showed up and it was a 3-3 tie, this would have died on the table, and we'd have to go through all the motions all over again. So again, I'm proud of the way our people voted, but very disappointed in the borough. Whenever they want to work with us, they like to come with hat in hand, but when they could have stood by us, they pretty much stabbed us all in the back. So that's all I have to say, Madam Chair.
Mr. Calabro, one correction in what you said. It's not 9,000 residents, it's 9,000 customers, and each customer more or less is a household.
Right.
So it's 9,000 households.
Mr. Schenkman, just out of curiosity, on that piece of property, 17 acres, what exactly is the chain of title?
Chain of title. Well, I don't have anything with me on that, but I can tell you that there's a legal owner and an equitable owner because there's a contract for sale between them. The party that owns them is the legal owner. The party that's buying is the equitable owner. The legal owner is, I don't recall the name exactly, University of Partners or something like that. I believe that Jim Worthington is a major part of that, but I don't know what the other partners are. And the equitable partner was KRE, the developer for the proposed apartments in that location.
Okay. So Mr. Worthington was the primary owner?
I'm not sure if he's primary. He's one of the major players there. I don't know what the breakdown of the interest in the ownership is.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
I'd like to say, though, that he was the owner prior to the company coming in that wanted to put the apartments there, so if that lends any clarity to it. at all. Mr. Davis, anything?
I have nothing to report, thanks.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to our consent agenda. Tonight, the consent agenda includes minutes, bills, and authorization to purchase 2 police vehicles in the amount of $114,669.04. And that was budgeted through the capital plan. So I would like a motion to approve the consent agenda. Do I have such a motion? Do I have a second? I'll second it.
Second.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any discussion from the board?
Yeah, I'd just like to make a comment or two about the bills list, if I might. I wanted to note that we're paying a lot of money, we paid a lot of money this year for salt from Morton, the same company that gives you your salt for your meat. But I think the total bills in 2024, total bills to date, it looks like over $77,000. I may have, that's a lot of salt. So I just want to make sure that people know that we're salting the roads with Morton salt.
Okay. Thank you for that. All right, any further discussion from the board?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention,
Go
can you
ahead.
hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that the police vehicles were just under 115,000 a piece, 115,115. And the capital plan had them budgeted at 340,000. So I wanted to thank the township manager for bringing us in under budget there, and the chief of police.
Thank you. Anyone else on the board? Anyone from the public? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. Only on the consent agenda. Okay, so hearing none, I will call the question. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Okay, that motion passes 4-1. Which brings us to reports of township officials. And our engineer, Liana Colabre, please, you're on.
Great, thank you. The item we have tonight is the license and right of entry for the DCNR Meadow conversion project. As you know, DCNR, partnering with funding through the Commonwealth is planning on planting, areas of meadows and riparian buffers throughout the county. There's 2 areas in this township that they will be planting meadows in. That's at Roberts Ridge Park and then at Silver Lake Park. So they will be no cost to the township. They will be preparing this, and then this is sort of a benefit for the township to have better, water quality as well as meeting some of the township's MS4 permit requirements. So in order for them to do that work through their contractor, they have to have this right of entry agreement. So that's what we're, needing authorization on tonight. Happy to answer any questions on the agreement.
I'd also like to add, we got to pick the wildflower mix that we liked, so it should look pretty nice.
Yep.
Is there any questions from the
All right.
board?
I do have a question, if I may pass out some illustrations here regarding the Roberts Ridge Park. I was looking at the plans that they submitted versus the last plan that I believe the Board of Supervisors had approved. And there's slight differences in the area being converted to meadow. For example, in the plan that we approved, I forget how far back, a couple of years ago, I remember.
I think it's 2021.
2021. it appeared that the entire basin area was going to be converted to a meadow, but in the plan submitted by DCNR, it extends into that basin area only a little bit. I'm not in favor one way or the other. I'm just wondering what the difference is. The other one is up where you have the Frost Lane and along Lower Darlington Road, another patch that's going to be converted. In the plan that we had, that patch stopped at the path that leads to the playground. Whereas in the plan submitted by DCNR, it extends beyond that path, and it becomes adjacent to the playground. Now, I've been in contact with the person at DCNR specifically about the precautions going to be taken when you do the turf kill, which I believe, once we allow them to come into the park, will begin in August, according to the schedule. Now, I know that Newtown Township and DCNR will be using Roundup for that, which is fine, because she explained it to me that this is the only way in which they can do it. But as I discussed with Mr. Scavone regarding the use of Roundup in our parks, that he post signage that tells people, not only block it off, but post signs that tell people that this has been treated with Roundup or whatever, so people know. Because a resident did complain to me about Roundup being used next to a stand at a ballpark without any signage or anything like that. So I think having this extended next to the playground, I'm just curious as to why that was done, and am I correct in showing you these two images? Do we need to approve this specific plan that they submitted the way I thought we submitted the other plan on the left of this image to them, and they seem to have changed it without me knowing anything about?
Let me just say that we had an extensive talk. The EAC came here, and of course, we're putting the pollinator garden in Roberts Ridge Park. So we came up with a plan that was approved by the Board of Supervisors for a certain layout for the meadow. That is pretty much the left-hand side plan. I know you can't see it, and it's not projected. That's okay. And not so much the right-hand side plan. So maybe we can talk about that further. It's not that far apart. I don't know what the part in the middle is. What is?
That's just their labeling.
That's
That's just the labeling. Okay, so you are aware of the pollinator garden going in amongst the trees?
Yeah, we can certainly talk with DCNR just to ensure that the areas are consistent. I do remember, them showing the areas before. I don't have it committed to memory, but it does look very close. But it's, we can certainly talk to them about it just to make sure that we're working within the areas that, we had previously agreed upon.
Yeah, and just to note, the yellow in this was the original plan submitted by our engineer, which we and the rest of the community vehemently opposed, because it was going to go right in the middle of Roberts Ridge Park. And I remember Ms. Snyder and I were very involved with that. So we have skin in the game here, wanting to keep to what we proposed and what I think the Board of Supervisors actually approved.
Understood. Yeah, we can talk with DCNR to ensure that the right areas are being used.
And I don't care about Silver Lake Park. I mean, nobody goes there. Nobody goes there anymore. It's too crowded.
It's Helen Randall, the other one, right?
Silver Lake.
It is Silver Lake?
Yep.
Okay. We had a lot of success using a vinegar solution to clear the area for the pollinator garden. And as a matter of fact, if you look at it right now, it is still cleared, and they did that work in late summer. So I'd certainly like to talk to Mr. Scavone about possibly changing to that form of weed killer, which is not hazardous. So, but that's not you. Appreciate that.
Yep.
May I just note that I communicated with Karen Ogden, the watershed specialist at DCNR, who said that agricultural vinegar, as she called it, is not suitable because first of all, what did she say? It's not suitable for large areas. It is, the most effective method would be a Roundup. So I gather you're going to have a problem convincing her of that.
Yeah, I'm not going to try to convince her. I'm just going to try to convince our own people to where we can use it ourselves, as you say, around the bleachers, that we try to change to a more environmentally friendly way to do it.
Well, that's a good idea.
Thank you. Okay.
So I guess if there were to be a motion, I guess it would be to authorize the license and entry agreement.
Okay. Do I have such a motion?
I'll make that motion. Sorry, did you?
Do you want me to elaborate on the motion?
I can read it.
Okay.
I will make that motion.
Okay. I will second that motion. Is there any discussion, further discussion from the board? Any from the public? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Oh, sorry, Charlie.
Thanks. Hi, Charles Foyer, Newtown Walk. And in light of this specific topic, I'd like to voice my opinion that in light of the fact that there are alternative defoliants that could be used, and we're about to authorize DCNR to go according to what they want to do, I think I agree with you that we should tell DCNR that we don't want them to use Roundup if it's right next to the kids' playground. I take my granddaughter there. And Roundup, as we know, is quite a controversial agent. So I'd express my agreement with you that we ought to tell DCNR that we don't want them to use Roundup in that park.
Thank you. I just want to make myself clear. I don't think we have a choice for DCNR. They're going to do what they are going to do. They're professionals at it. They say they're going to do it in a safe manner. They're going to block it off. I have no reason to disbelieve that. In the future, I would say we can go to a safer method locally, but this is the part of the MS4 project which is a Pennsylvania state project. So I don't think we have the authority to try to change the way they make a meadow. Would that be right? Would I be correct?
I mean, yeah, they have their methods to do that. I think the concern is near the playground. Obviously, we'll check with them to make sure that with the proximity and all of that. But yeah, they have their method in the way that they know how to create the meadow to function properly.
They work with agents who are certified or trained by the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture on how to apply it, as are our people in Newtown.
Mm-hmm.
The only question I had is, yes, they're going to block it off, but they should label it.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, for example, if it was radioactive, you would put up these radioactive signs. You know what I mean? In fact, maybe they should do that so people stay as far away from it as possible. But that's what I think we can negotiate with them on. And I know I was told that they want to work with our Environmental Advisory Council to get the word out, to help explain the whole situation so that people are more acceptable to their technique and how they're going to go about doing it.
I do believe they said they are going to block it off appropriately. So, any other comments?
Blocking off is one thing, labeling is another thing. I want labels.
All right, well, certainly, We can
We
certainly
can
try.
Yep, we can tell
right?
them, yep.
Any other discussion from the public? Hearing none, I'll call that question. Did I do that already? Have I already done that? Okay. I would like a motion.
We have it.
We have the motion.
Motion, second.
Just
Thank
call
you.
the question.
Call the question. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. I also have a question for you from Mr. Fisher.
Okay.
He would like to know what the timeline is for the Tower Boulevard crosswalk.
Yep, so we've reviewed all the contractor material submittals for the pole, approved all of those, they've ordered them, and we've asked them this week to provide their schedule now that the weather is better. So they should be providing us with an updated schedule this week. We'll inform the township, and then that should get moving shortly.
You know that there's going to be a marathon, St. Patty's Day thing, race?
This weekend?
I don't know, but this weekend is St. Patty's Day's weekend, and you're going to have a lot of activity around that intersection at Silo Drive, I imagine, dancing and whatnot. So,
I
Yeah.
think that the police, make appropriate accommodations for safety of pedestrians, if that's what you mean, or runners.
well, no, I just meant that this construction might get in the way of those activities, no matter if the police are there.
Is it
or not.
happening?
It won't be starting.
Yeah, okay, that's
this
all
weekend, yeah.
I wanted to mention. And also, I want to thank you for, you got this revised Summit Trace bypass crosswalk study, and you said you would be distributing that early next week. I know we had a conversation about that. Have you distributed that to PennDOT, or is that not yet happened?
We will. If there's, no additional comment from the township, we will submit that to them.
All right, so momentarily.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So I can finish with Mr. Fisher's question. Mr. Fisher, do you have anything else you would like to say or add to that?
I think you covered it. Our engineer mentioned both Silo Drive and Terra Drive, and also I guess the Business Commons work's would be starting as well. It's the same kind of work.
Mm-hmm.
So spring is coming.
Thankfully.
Yep, so once we have those formal schedules, we'll keep everyone in the loop.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Brings us to our solicitor report.
Thank you, Ms. Chairwoman. There is no report this evening from the solicitor.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Madam Chair. General fund balance this evening is $6,489,809. Plan expirations before the board with no action required. This evening, we have Chief Hearn to give his monthly police report. Evening, Chief.
May I ask a quick question in regards to the expiration?
Go ahead.
Now that the sewer authority has pretty much put the sewer treatment plant to bed, will we be seeing anything from KRE coming before us again?
I can't answer that.
Okay.
There's a lot of question marks on that, so
But it's still not, has still not expired?
correct, they've given it an indefinite extension
Okay,
on the timeline.
thank you.
Sorry, Chief. It's all yours.
There you go. February 2025 police report, we documented 2,260 calls for service in the month of February, documented just under 20,000 miles on our patrol fleet. For the month of February, we had 14 arrests and clearances, 1 for indecent assault, 1 for simple assault, 1 retail theft, 4 narcotics, 1 receiving stolen property, 2 warrant arrests, 1 was a fugitive out of New Jersey, and 1 from Bucks County Sheriff's Department, and we had 4 DUI arrests. There were 16 new cases referred to detectives for investigation and 8 crime scenes processed, some of which included a indecent assault, 4 frauds, a stalking, 2 thefts, 1 involved a firearm, 1 child line, and 7 deaths, 5 of which were natural, 2 were overdoses. For the month of February, we had 77 traffic crashes, 18 reportable, 28 non-reportable, 4 property damage, 7 hit and runs, 1 auto pedestrian was struck, and 19 deer collisions. There were 149 traffic citations issued and 133 warnings issued. Truck enforcement detail, we only had 1 for the month. It was in the borough, involving 4 inspections, 1 citation, 1 warning, and 1 vehicle was placed out of service. Public service announcements. Frauds are increasing, particularly on the elderly. In particular, the FBI put out today as well for frauds. The FBI urges the public to exercise increased vigilance when posting personal photos, videos, personal identifying information, or direct messages online. Although seemingly innocuous when posted or shared, these images and videos can provide malicious actors an abundant supply of content to exploit and manipulate and/or alter for criminal activity. So keep that in mind. On May 19th at 7 p.m., there is a police memorial service at St. Andrews honoring the Bucks County law enforcement officers who died in the line of duty or in the performance of their duties. The public is invited. Our new speed sign that was authorized last month has arrived. It will be in service for the St. Patty's Day weekend. I would like to thank Hammer Property Management and Luff Concrete for donating their work and materials for upgrading and our firing range at our police headquarters. Probably saved the township $15,000 to $20,000. And my wife and I would also like to thank the Board of Supervisors and the township staff for their basket sent to my family regarding the loss of my father-in-law. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Chief.
Sorry, could you give me the date of the memorial again? I missed the date.
May 19th at 7 p.m.
Thank you.
Problem, sir.
No, go ahead.
You mentioned fraud and keeping your photos off the internet. We're law-abiding citizens, but I don't think my wife is going to stop posting photos to Facebook. And so, just saying. Regarding the deer, I have a personal vendetta against deer. Like 16 or 17, I'm roaming around in my backyard every day, and I noticed that on average, there's between 150 and 160 auto versus deer incidents. Can you advise motorists how best to avoid hitting deer?
Slow down. Use your high beams. If you see one, there's probably more. The deers don't cross the street. They don't look both ways before crossing the street.
Is it deer or deers?
Deer, no S. If you see a sign at deer crossing, please adhere to it. There is deer hunts annually in Tyler Park and the surrounding areas to try to minimize the population, but it's an issue out in the suburbs, so just be careful.
I don't know. I think the deer hunt, they're wise to that, and they escape the park. That only happens in the park over there, right?
Tyler State Park, yes, sir.
Tyler State Park. They say, we're not going to hang out in the park anymore. We're going to go hang out in John Mack's backyard. I think they already made that decision. How many deer are actually killed each year in the park? You know?
I haven't the faintest idea.
And they just bred, so there's a lot of babies out there. That's what I want to add to that. Any other questions for the chief? As usual, thank you for your fine service.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Madam Chair, we have one other item under the manager's report this evening for the board's consideration. As you recall, we had issued RFPs for banking services. We received 6 total responses to the RFP. The recommendation that we're putting forth before the board is Penn Community Bank, reasons being for their comprehensive offering and competitive interest earning rate with no minimum bank fee or balance fee in the account. So the appropriate motion would be authorization to approve Penn Community Bank as Township Depository.
Do we have such a motion?
So moved.
you have a second? I'll second that.
Second.
Oh,
Either way.
thank you, Dennis. Any discussion from the board? Any from, oh,
Just one quick question. Will this finally eliminate TD Bank from doing business with the township?
In about 60 days, yes.
Okay, thank you.
So we'll get rid of that foreign-owned bank, right? TD Bank is a Canadian bank? Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Toronto
Well,
deposit.
they might become the 51st state, so they won't be foreign anymore, but I
Well,
know we got a better
even-
rate, which
Yeah.
is, I think, our primary responsibility to make sure we are getting the best rate that we can.
Even if TD Bank was within the United States of America, they have been sued so many times for money laundering, so they're not a very reputable institution.
Well, the township has been sued a number of times, and we're pretty reputable, I think, so.
thanks. Any other discussion from the board? Any from the public? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor of approving Penn Community Bank as our township depository, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
That's
Thank
all we
you.
have under our report, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Which brings us to our second round of public comment. For anything else that anybody would like to talk about, please state your name and where you live.
Good morning, folks. Bradley Cooper, Newtown Grant resident since 1999. Just a couple of things. Nobody wants new buildings or big skyscrapers or apartment complexes in Newtown. Takes up too much traffic and unnecessary and needed, in my opinion. And a lot of other residents feel the same way. But the main reason I wanted to talk about something is if you ever driven down the Newtown bypass and made a left or right-hand turn onto Richboro Road, right where Newtown Middle School is, there's a median right there on this side. And people all the time try to make a U-turn right there, and it just backs up traffic. It causes congestion, people trying to weave in and out of each other to try to go straight. People trying to get out of the middle school to go on to Richboro Road there. And I think that being a driver here for so many years, I think it's something that we should consider looking into to not allow people to make a U-turn there. I understand that some of them want to go to the Shira-Me, but there's no entrance off of the bypass on there. It's just a little bit of a congestion issue and traffic problems, possible accidents can arise when people just stop in the middle of the road to make a U-turn off of a median that is not really meant to make a U-turn off of, in my opinion. So I think that's something we should look at. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Hello, my name is Carla Jones. I live in Milltown Township. First, a couple of items. Exiting the Summit Trace Shopping Center where the Giant is, there's a wooden pole that used to have a stop sign on it. And I talked to Middletown Township, and they said they thought it was Newtown Township. So people are still being very polite. We stop anyway, but there was supposed to be a stop sign there. So it's on the Summit Trace roadside. If that makes sense to you. So is that Newtown Township or is that?
I'm sorry, what did you say is,
The stop sign's not there.
the
There's a
stop
missing.
sign that's supposed to be there is not there?
Correct.
And you're saying this is a Newtown territory?
I don't know. I called Middletown Township first, and the reaction was they thought maybe it was Newtown. And I said I didn't know, so I thought. I'm sorry? No, it's actually when you exit Summit Trace, the shopping center where the Giant is. Correct, yes.
It's in the shopping center?
It's, I would say technically, it's the edge of it, yes, yeah.
I think that's Middletown Township.
It's probably the shopping center.
Shopping center will be responsible for that.
Okay, I didn't know who it was for, so I decided, okay. So I guess I'd go see people, I don't know, that would be Gigliotti then. I guess he's in charge of that.
Yeah, if he still owns it.
I don't know who, yeah, you're right, I don't even know who owns it, right. Okay, second comment is regarding the PICO a scam of Pico. I actually got a phone call one Sunday from Pico, and it was a scam call, and the caller ID said Pico. And that's how good they are. And so what I ended up doing was because it was a Sunday, I verified on my account. I said, okay, the account looks fine online, but I ended up having to call the emergency number because there's no telephone number to call on a Sunday. You call the office number and you get nothing. So here they call on a Sunday, so you have no one to really call. So I called the emergency number and said, excuse me, it's not an emergency, and the woman on the phone was very well aware that it was a scam and said, so anyway, and then I hung up, and then they called back. So they hang up once, they give you a call, they'll try again, and I just ignored the call. But they are, I can see why people would be suspect of that. I mean, they would believe that was legitimate. So it's a reality. Anyway, the main reason I came tonight, I wanted to say thank you to the board. Back in July, I submitted a PowerPoint presentation regarding the Summit Trace Shopping Center and the bypass and Double Woods Road and Newtown Grant, and hopefully to make that crosswalk safer. So I'm very grateful for the report that's going to be submitted. Will that be submitted will that report be made public so I can see it, or how's that work?
You can file an open records request for the report.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, fantastic.
Yes.
The reason I asked that question is because I'm quite involved with Middletown Township, and you probably know about the Pennsylvania Department Community and Economic Development money available. You probably have heard about this. The Pennsylvania Department Community and Economic Development, there's current taking grant applications. So anyway, just wanted to bring that to your attention, that grant money is available, that could help with this project. I also want to say that Middletown Township, they have their own multimodal plan as well. I referenced it in my PowerPoint presentation, where they want to put in sidewalks to make the community more walkable. And that sidewalk, I talked to the engineer, yes, great. Anyway, how there would be a sidewalk planned to meet, hopefully, what the township and PennDOT will do as well, so that because as you probably well know, that the township probably ends and then Middletown Township begins on Double Woods Road in that area there. So, okay, fantastic. Okay. Anyway, I just want to say thank you very much for listening, and I do appreciate very much you following through. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Valerie Mahalik from Newtown Walk Community. Last night I attended the Sunoco Pipeline meeting. I've actually attended a couple of them, and I highly ask that the board get involved. I asked them a question because their focus is on the Mount Air, community who's going through this horrible pipe leak and the cleanup. And my question was, if it leaks, could it work its way down to the artesian wells that are a source of drinking water in Newtown? And FSMA, DEP, and Sunoco looked at me like a deer in the headlights, like they had not thought of this. One of the things that I've gathered from attending these public meetings, which go very, very long, is number one, all of our representatives from the local, state to the federal level have asked Sunoco to shut the pipeline down, which they refuse to do, which is concerning. The pipeline is over 70 years old, and as you know, it runs through Newtown, but particularly my concern as a parent is it runs through the high school, also into the middle school. When I asked them about their checking out the integrity of the pipeline, because over and over again, when residents go up, when our representatives go up, they are constantly questioning the integrity of this over 70-year-old pipeline that has never been refurbished or anything else. And I try to equate it to, when you have a roof on your house that's really old, and a part of it is leaking, that leaking part is now Upper Makefield in the Mount Air community, you don't just look at the one area of your roof if it's very old. You look at replacing the whole roof. So why is Sunoco not looking at refurbishing the entire pipeline, shutting the pipeline down, and looking at the, where we are in Newtown? Because the concern is, from everything I've gathered, they do not know what caused this leak. And the only way the residents found out about it was through the smell of jet fuel in their well water. So since we don't have well water around the schools, the concern becomes, how do we detect if there are other leaks that impact the residents of our community? So I know from Representative Perry Warren was there last night, Senator Santosario was there last night, Congressman Fitzpatrick's office was there, Senator Fetterman's office was there. I just think it would be wonderful if Newtown got on board, because I don't think they're looking at us. They are only focusing on that 1.5 mile radius in that area, and they're starting work next week. But I think the request should be, if there's vulnerability in the Upper Makefield area, how do we know if that vulnerability is trickling down to the Newtown area, and how would we know? So I have never heard them discuss it. When I brought it up last night, it was a look like, oh, we didn't think about that township. So I think while they're here, we should find out how they're going to inspect the pipeline where we are, to see if there's any vulnerability, particularly, for the kids.
So are they going to have other meetings?
So they talked about, which of course the residents, and I don't blame them, were not open to. Sunoco was saying they wanted to do a Zoom call and sort of screen, if you will, who was calling in. The township talked about, I think their next meeting is going to be March 26th, the next public meeting. But the concern is, well, not that this is a concern, they're trying to fix the problem in the Mount Air area next week by replacing the 6 wells that are damaged. But now other residents have come forward asking Sunoco to test their water, but if they're out of that 1.5 mile radius, they're basically telling them no.
Okay. I know you just asked if we should get more involved.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, March 26th, we have a Board of Supervisors meeting, and I wanted to go to that meeting last night, but after the marathon 2 or 3 hours at the sewer authority, I just didn't have it in me to go to another meeting that you mentioned could have lasted until midnight.
Yes, the ones before that went until after midnight. I will say they had it at the church last night, so the chairs were more like these, a lot more comfortable. The ones at Sol Feinstein, we were sitting on those metal folding chairs, and it was not comfortable.
I couldn't stand up anymore after having to stand up for an hour at the sewer authority meeting, and they didn't have the water fountain working, which I found amazing that they didn't have the technology to repair their water fountain, but I didn't just have it in me to do that, but thanks for your report.
Yes, thank you.
I do want to say that I am in touch with the supervisors of Upper Makefield to keep myself informed of what's going on. So yes, I'm aware, we are aware, and I think we're on it. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ray Post. I've been your neighbor resident in Middletown for 35 years now, and I just wanted to offer you my heartfelt thanks for listening to the residents and the neighbors' concerns about the sewage treatment plant that was proposed, and for providing the letter to the sewer authority urging them to stop work. And I also want to echo Commissioner Phil's sentiments that I'm very proud of the way that the township representatives voted yesterday's meeting, and hopefully we can put this behind us and find a constructive use for that property. As I think it would have been really a bad thing for our quality of life and for the environment, as I've testified in the past, and I thank you once again from the bottom of my heart for what you've done for the community. Thank you.
Hello, Carla Jones again. I forgot to thank John Mack personally. He came over to Middletown Township, spoke to the Board of Supervisors about the crosswalk. So I want to say thank you to John. So he took his time out, and I appreciate it very much. And so kudos to him.
Any other public comment? Seeing none, I will, Oh, I'm sorry, thank you. On to other business. If there's any other business from members of the board, please say.
Yeah, just one question for the manager. Any word on the other RFPs that have been sent out?
Other part of what?
The RFPs for the other services that we requested.
So we have the responses for the engineering and traffic engineering that were distributed to the board. The RFP for the AV
Can you all hear him?
operation.
What's with the microphones?
The AV operation,
Yeah, you got some AV people, new AV people coming, maybe.
possibly. We have those responses and we'll be distributing them in the near future.
Thank you. Anybody else on the board have any old or new business? Seeing none, I will call the adjournment of this meeting. Thank you, everybody.